So welcome everybody to today's panel discussion on creative operations. My name is Gary Bolavio. I run technology partnerships for Cloudinary, and I'm really delighted to be joined today by several guests who are quite experts in this field related to creative operations and spent many years here. But first, let me just give some background for what creative operations is and why this is becoming more important in enterprises today. From a high level, from a very, very high level, we all know that content is becoming much more the center of site experiences and applications for today's websites, whether it be e-commerce or media or entertainment. Much more of the pages and much more of the experiences themselves are centered around the content, and much less around the text elements of communication. So it's really important now. While this is a majority of the web pages and the weight of the web pages, we all know that upwards of 70% of content on a web page, are the embedded assets, the media assets. There's a lot more that's behind the creation today of this content, and the operations behind it, the tools, the systems, and the people. And so what we want to talk about today are really the history of content operations or creative operations, where it came from, how it has grown, and what it has grown into, what it is today, and where it may be going in the future. And as part of that, we have some really great guests who are here with us to talk about this. So each of these individuals have spent years related to content operations, in different ways. And with that, I'll let each of them introduce themselves. So Max, do you mind going first and giving a background on you and your company?
No problem. So I'm Max Dunn. I'm the CEO of Silicon Publishing, and we've been around 20 years this August, and we automate Adobe technologies primarily. So we work intensely to enable online editing experiences, database publishing experiences, and to connect Creative Cloud technologies to other things such as remote assets in Cloudinary as a DAM and imaging technologies such as the Cloudinary imaging stack.
Andy, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Andreas. Thanks a lot for having us. That's really great, Gary, that you've organized that round. I recently became the CEO of CIHub. I founded that company 2 years ago. Before that, I've worked approximately 20 years in automating marketing and brand management. That means corporates like Apple or Daimler, Audi, and a couple of big car brands used our brand management solution to streamline their marketing operation. And with CIHub, we continue that now. We do believe that connecting assets to where the user really needs them, and not just assets, but also automations is one of the big next steps. And I'm happy to take part in the creative operations panel today, and let's discuss on where it's heading to.
Great, thank you. Fred, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Gary. So a great panel, and so a lot of people I like. And so on my side, I restarted on the agency side, French agencies, nearly 20 years as a IT production, mainly working with creative operations for different types of customers, brands, retailers. Then I moved, I spent some years with a vendor, and since the last 18 months, I made the decision to be back and closer to the business requirements of brands and retailers, founding Activa Consulting, and I'm the CEO of this company. We are a small company with 5 people for now, and we are really trying to, in this crazy marketing silos of solutions, to help people making the right decision, and also working with Mark Davy and the IT equity software company alongside the the technical characteristics of dams, and so my need to improve the knowledge of dam and some standard in the industry.
Wow. Great panel.
All right, wonderful. So really quickly, Max, is there anything you wanted to add related to Silicon Publishing? Do you want to introduce Silicon Publishing? Maybe give a couple of minutes on that?
Sure. Our company, like I said, has been around for 20 years, and we really have focused primarily as a sort of foundation on InDesign Server. Adobe InDesign Server is our real claim to fame. We are the largest reseller of InDesign Server, and we build the largest scale solutions on top of it in the world. And I've been at this more than 20 years, so go back to the 90s. And in the last 20 or 30 years, we've seen the evolution of digital asset management from the ground up, and it's been amazing to see that happen. We've also seen server-side imaging, which was always our passion. Even in the 90s, we were doing server-side imaging. But we've seen that grow. And what's surprising to me is just how long the arc is and how slow things are to progress. Only now are we finally doing things we thought we were going to do when we started this company 20 years ago. And so we work to connect Cloudinary and other dams and imaging sources to both desktop workflows, where we're working with the Adobe technology stack primarily on the desktop and bringing Cloudinary inside of that, but also to online editing, which is our main focus. We have a tool called Silicon Designer that can take a document and provide a very complete editing experience through a web browser that then renders with tools, including InDesign Server, for very high quality print output. So we've been working at the sort of point of friction between web and print for a long time. And only right now are we seeing the progress in technology that lets us fulfill our visions. So it's a really cool time for us. And one trend we're seeing is that content is getting deeper and there's more criticality to managing text over time recently. So we see a very slow long-term trajectory. And so what's happening now is stuff that's been in motion for a long time.
Great. How about CIHub? Andy, would you mind giving a little bit more background on CIHub?
Sure. Absolutely. So, as I said, the basic idea is, we try to deliver the easiest way to connect to your assets wherever you are. What does that mean? We all know that 30 to 40% in agencies is wasted for searching and finding and doing simple stuff with getting the right assets in place. And what we figured out is there is not really a concept in the market where you have one plugin which you can use in all your Adobe products, in your Microsoft products, in your Google products, which easily connects you to your assets wherever they are. And we see that, if you're an agency and you have 10 different customers, everybody's talking about the single source of truth. But if you have 10 customers, you have 10 truths where you have to connect to. And for agencies, that's a huge effort they have to put in, which is more or less useless. So we started to develop plugins which connects you simultaneously to all of your sources, whether it is a DAM system or a PIM system or a cloud storage system, and have these assets available in all of your programs right at your fingertips. Yeah. So, and this is actually a program what we do for the next 3 years, because if you have control over the assets, the next thing what we will deliver is give you the exact information on your workflows you have to do. And then we deliver lots of automations. And this is the great thing about connecting to Cloudinary. We're not just connecting to the Cloudinary asset storage. We are also bringing Cloudinary functionalities, manipulations into, let's say, a PowerPoint. You're in PowerPoint, you click on an image, you get a Cloudinary functionality to add a watermark or to remove the background, and it's just there instantly. And this platform will really make works easier for everybody in the creative space, actually, from the PowerPoint user to the professional in Premiere Pro. And we're a team of developers. We have a solid background on automations and on InDesign and all of that stuff. and we try to make it as easy as possible to work with your assets. And that's what we're doing with CIHub, actually.
Right. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. And Fred, would you mind giving a little bit more about Activa?
Yeah, for sure. First thing, maybe something I'd like to highlight, because as a customer first, in 2010, I was one of his customers of Ibrams from Mondays. So really early adopter of InDesign server, also trying to do some custom development at the top for agencies. And in the meantime, I appreciate really also to be here as a vendor working also with Max alongside the connector, the designer, integration in some DAM vendors. So I think definitely you make the right choice choosing the right guys for this panel. So, and finally on our side, of course, we try to enhance the experience of customers to find the right cocktail, and especially for the DAM and the PIM. We're also talking about the PIM because today most of our projects are also a PIM project, and especially for e-retailers. And maybe something we can talk later, why we need to get a DAM and a PIM and not just one trying to do everything together. But also deep involved in print projects, and of course the usage and the need for automation, personalization. And something I'd like to highlight especially is at the top of InDesign documents, because you have a lot of things in the market that looks like you can do everything, but the only thing you need to do and to get for creative operations, you need to get the InDesign back, okay? And you don't have so many solutions today in the market. And of course, one of the main things beyond the technology for customers, and this is really our DNA, is the onboarding, the change, because the success of the digital transformation is just due to 95% of the people.
All right.
Yeah.
So wonderful. So I guess as we move forward, it may be good for or maybe helpful for some members in the audience to get a better understanding of what do we mean when we say creative operations? Like, what is that?
Yeah, for sure.
Fred, would you mind taking us through that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure, with pleasure. So as I said, I spent between 1995 and 2012, I was on the agency side. So of course, when we are talking about creative operations, I will say sometimes the word in English means much more than in any other languages, in fact. It's all about creativity. It's all about to use the creativity to produce our documents. And today, we have a team dedicated to manage rich content. And especially in 2020, we are not just talking about some small images. I'm working as, for example, for creative operations team in New York, working for fashion brands, and we have to manage 30,000 raw files of 400 million pixels. That's a challenge. So this is a team very close to a photographer. We are talking about the designer, because at one stage, the center of the creativity is the Adobe suites. So it means it's InDesign, it's Photoshop, it's Iterator. And finally, whatever the vertical markets, you can work in packaging and you have to use Illustrator and sometimes InDesign. Of course, you need Photoshop, which is a foundation to retouch, to manage revisions, to do corrections of your images. And InDesign today is the standard to manage automation. And of course, we can talk later on, but InDesign brings so much more than just placing some images. So you have a strong team today. And sometimes I see more and more also people dedicated to do one job. So retouching, InDesign, and you have also operator. And alongside, in the meantime, in this team, you have a lot of marketing coordinator and stakeholders, because you have to manage a project. Everything is starting from that stage. When we are talking about the DAM workflow, it's all about it starts with the creation of the assets. And this is exactly the place where we are. And creative operations maybe have their biggest business requirements, because they have to manage super heavy files, large TIFF, complex EPS files. It's not simply a flyer with 2 pages of InDesign. It can be your catalogs of 84 pages, etc. So this is something very complex. And this is really a challenge today for any DAM vendor to be able to figure out. So, and finally, our question is how we can improve the efficiency of creative operations thanks to these tools.
Yep.
And this one is maybe something also I like to highlight. This is more or less the workspace of the creativity. So you have to do a lot of things. And sometimes when we are looking at how people are really working with creativity, they have tons of tools. So of course you have the Adobe desktop applications, but sometimes they also have to use some basic other applications. They have to manage different types of documents. And today, really, one of the survey from InMotion now was very interesting regarding the fact that business needs to get these creative operations very efficient. It's more than 80% of the people. And in the meantime, 72% of these creative operations, they are struggling, as I said just before, because they have to manage high volume of super high definition of content. And even for the video we're talking, just one hour of your 4K video on the iPhone, it's more than 15 gigs. So how you can manage that? And so this workflow is also amazing because you have to get the approval alongside the business process mapping, something we are calling the BPM, and how you can manage that. Do you have to send some Dropbox drive or WeTransfer links to everybody? How you can be sure that everybody has approved the content? That's the real challenges today of creative operations.
Yep.
And one other thing I would like to highlight is it's something I'm working since the last years with one of the fashion brands in the US. Is, as I said, you are starting with a shoot of your products, so it can be thousands and thousands of very heavy raw files in a day to manage the approval cycle, to manage revisions of the assets, to connect with your Adobe applications in order to streamline the content. But it has to be fast. You need to search. You cannot spend. We saw that with a recent survey from high quality software company that most of the people, they need minimum 1 hour to find the right content, because of course we are talking also about metadata, and it's not, AI will not solve all the problems. It's not because you're uploading your files in your DAM that everything is done. So that's a complex process. One also thing which is important regarding the workflow, especially for all the stakeholders, it's all about the capabilities to manage revisions, to mark up the files. And for some of them, they also need to get what they see on the screen. And I'm talking really for the customer I'm working with. They need to see exactly what will be at the end the product. So it's very important to be color accurate at that stage. And of course, very important to be able to retouch and to get this connection with the DAM. And after as soon as the project is completed, you need to deliver into the DAM, so you can manage a dedicated workflow to get the approval cycle. And sometimes, because this is the way people are working, in the same time today, because time is money, you have to deliver the content in so many different touch points, e-commerce, website, etc. And sometimes you need to change the description of the price of an article. But how you can do that just restarting everything? That's a challenge, because sometimes it has to be done in 1 minute. Reason why, it's also regarding this mass personalization that brands needs today to get the access on the web, to retouch the price of a product, or maybe to change just one image. And in the meantime, you can save your InDesign document. So this is the two core challenges I can see alongside creative operations: this managing of very heavy files, large and high definitions, connect to your DAM, and in the meantime, to be able to distribute this content and to be able to personalize this content at one stage. And so this is the purpose of a DAM at the end of the day. And it's very important to understand that DAM is a foundation for any organizations. You have a DAM, you can get, as for example, an MDM master data management system that can be anything, just like an MI system, Salesforce, any other CRM, and even for a FileMaker database for some people, whatever. But the DAM is the foundation, and in between you can get a PIM to syndicate this information. But you need to get two systems, and the DAM is done for what? The DAM is an engine for your assets. You need to be able to process large files and not just small JPEG, as I can see as, for example, for today for some DAM vendors. When you are working with super large shifts, for some DAM system, you have to wait hours and days, and maybe you cannot get a preview. The other thing which is very important is also all about the metadata. You cannot get automation. You cannot get advanced workflow without metadata. So two types of them. You have custom metadata, IPTC, XMP, which is a standard in 1965. And again, I try to advise to the IPTC.org, which is very important. And on the other hand, the custom metadata, which is rated to your projects.
All right. Well, I think that's, one more slide, I guess, on print you want to touch on?
Yeah, for sure, because this one is very interesting regarding the markets. We see that the DAM market is growing, but look at the growing of the print on demand. Because at the end of the day, when the project is complete, what you need to do, you need to print, not maybe to print as we did before. And we know in the same time that what's happening today in the markets, this year should be the year of the Drupa in Germany, which is postponed next year, and maybe not anymore 10 days, maybe just 5, 6, or maybe nothing. But it doesn't mean print is dead. It just the needs of brands, retailers have changed. They need to get some on the web to be able to customize the layout, the catalogs, the magazine, and then in one thing to be able to print. So, and this one is definitely a growing market. So print is not dead, but the approach of a print is different. And of course, you need a DAM to figure out and manage all your assets.
Right on. So we'll definitely get into the print in a little bit. We'll get Max's thoughts on that. Yeah. So Fred, thanks for the introduction. I think it gives a really good, foundation. I mean, if I were to summarize, for me, it comes down to the people, the processes, and the systems, related to creating content, distributing that content, and accessing that content. And there is a lot that goes into it. And I think it's something that's quite possibly maybe untapped, undervalued, maybe today in a lot of organizations. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the slides and we'll get into a little bit more of the heart of the panel discussion. So what I wanted to do first was, so now we have this great introduction with creative operations. I'm kind of curious. So Fred, you said the DAM is at the heart of the creative operations, but is it possible to, have, efficient and effective creative operations without a DAM? I mean, are organizations?
I have to be honest today, because when I'm working close to agencies, what I can see, most of them, they don't have a DAM, or they have a file saver. I was used to work with a full press. Maybe this is a system from Northplane, which has been acquired by Aclat, and we don't already the future of that. But just because we have terabytes of productions to manage between in agency, you can get up to, on my side, we were more than 200. So how you can manage that? You need a file saver. But this file saver was not really a DAM. And so what happened alongside the years, more and more people were using Box, Dropbox, etc. And when you see also the evolution of Dropbox and Box and Drive and etc., far away it looks like as a DAM. Of course, it's not yet, to be honest, and something I can see as, for example, if you're on both connectors, I tried based on my experiences, in the plugin, I was able to search for assets from Dropbox. But in Dropbox, if I'm searching for some basic keywords IPTC, I'm not able to retrieve this information. So the reason why it's, as soon as you don't have this foundation, it's not a DAM. But of course, It's not a lot of money. It's super something that you can easily use on your smartphone. And again, I try to repeat to damn vendors. If nothing is working on your smartphone, which is driving 80% of the job, how you can use your system. So I think definitely damn vendors have to be a little bit more clever. They need to, as CIHub was saying, to sit together with the customers and try to spend the time how they are working, especially for creative operation, and then back out to the office to deliver the right technology. This is my thinking, and of course we have more and more some good piece of technology inside, just like Cure, and we have also some top-down vendors today that are doing the right job. But sometimes I'm skeptical in the meantime, and especially for InDesign. And I think that Max and Andy can talk a little bit more, because when I'm a retailer and when I've got 84 pages, how I can manage that? Okay, so
let me just jump in there, Fred, if I'm allowed. Can I just, Gary, is it okay?
Of course, go ahead, Andy. Go.
Okay, so I think if your question is, can marketing operation work without a DAM system? I would say no, because even if a lot of people are using the DAM system in a moment as nothing else than a file storage, and I would say a Dropbox or a box or a drive, this is a file storage system. That's not a DAM system. But if we look further, and if we all know we have to create more and more and more content with people who are not the specialists they were, yeah? And I think this is one of the changes which we will also see in the future is in the marketing departments, there are different people than they were 20 years ago. I remember when discussing with customers between an IBRM solution and Fred solution and solutions that are not based, Max's solutions that are not based on an InDesign server, we have had very interesting discussions on the quality of the output, on fonts, on transparencies, on all these micro-typographic stuff. These are discussions you're not hearing anymore. Because if I talk to a typical customer of us today, and I say, we are talking about spacing and line breaks, and they don't know that stuff. Yeah. If you publish on Facebook or if you publish on Instagram, nobody cares about that stuff. Yeah. So which means systems need to be more intelligent and support the people to deliver the same quality on output, even if the people in front of it are not the experts anymore. Yeah. So we need systems that are really clever. And as Fred said, a DAM system is so much more than just storing an asset that I would say for good creative operation, a DAM system from a good vendor is a very essential tool to make operation easier, even if I have more people that are not the experts anymore.
I agree.
Yeah.
Max, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, just that it has steadily evolved, and a lot of what you see now that's so smart and instant is built from print technology that took a long time to get here. So like InDesign itself is quite a work of art as a software product, because it has a lot of real artificial intelligence in it that will flow text the way a typesetter used to typeset text. It just does that for you. So there's a lot of built-in convenience and functionality that is under the hood for kids these days, who are brand new to the technology. But it did come from somewhere. It came from the print technology stack. And what you're doing on the web largely is an echo of what happened in print 20 or 30 years earlier.
Right. So that's an interesting point related to the evolution of it. So it's interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit over the last 5 to 10 years and how we got here. So I guess, there were always, Adobe tools out there, creative tools out there. Adobe obviously is the most popular tool, most widely adopted tool. Then there were storage systems like Dropbox and, maybe Drive. And I guess maybe organizations started to connect these systems. And is that basically how it sort of evolved, that people realize that there are challenges or issues with leveraging those types of services together? Tell me a little bit more. So go ahead.
From my background, I saw the word DAM crop up maybe 20, 25 years ago. We built dams in the 1990s. We didn't call them dams. They weren't called dams. But we did a lot of work to help organizations manage huge numbers of assets and put metadata on them and search against them. And so a lot of what I saw that were dams in the beginning were home-built things. So organizations built their own on-premise systems to sort of augment their file system, if you will, to augment their network. And they would make a way they could manage large numbers of assets and large amounts of content. And then they started to evolve. When dams came out, they were mainly on-premise. The cloud is the really huge advance in the last 10 years, where cloud dams came in and disrupted, maybe starting in roughly 10 years ago, cloud dams started to disrupt the on-premise dams. And you didn't necessarily have to have your assets, on your local network and have everyone come in to share a network. That network sharing thing is happily dissipating or gone in many organizations. So what has really happened is computing power has enabled the dam to really become a functional thing, and competition between the storage platforms and creative applications has intensified to where right now there are a lot of fantastic options if you want to go out and work with a dam. If you have an organization that needs to manage your assets, there are many functional ways you can do that finally. With Adobe, we've seen ups and downs in the degree of extensibility of their products. And that also has been largely handled in the last 5 years. They've come back to really focus on extensibility very nicely in the Creative Cloud. And so really what's happened is sort of a convergence of technology where things have risen up to meet the demand. Of course, information is exploding, and I don't know, Frederick probably has statistics on how many more assets they have today than last year, but it's insane how the data grows and how the assets grow and how new formats demand greater numbers of assets of different types with different formats. We're publishing to devices the last 10 years. It's all about mobile first and that sort of thing. So it's been a very intense growth period for these technologies. And right now I'm really happy about where things are at with the technology. Things work at a decent cost for large organizations to do fantastic things with huge numbers of assets because technology has just risen to the occasion.
Yeah. I think this is an important point. Yeah, the availability and the pricing for systems that are able to not just manage large amounts of data and assets, but also the amount of automation which is available in an Adobe product or what you deliver in Cloudinary. This is unthinkable 10 years ago. Yeah, to do an image cropping 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Yeah, you had to have someone sitting there. Yeah, and do that for every single hair. Yeah, and we see it, and now it's almost done in Zoom. Yeah, you have not a perfect, but you have a cutout in Zoom. That's unbelievable what technology is enabling there. Yeah, and that's the only way we can keep up with the demand on content to deliver all that stuff. It would not be possible to play all these different channels with individual messages without a DAM system and without automation. It just doesn't work. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely clear. Yeah.
So there's a lot of, so we talked about the people and the systems, in the introduction, and there are a lot of systems that are also part of this whole operation. So besides a DAM, I mean, you have PLMs, you have PIMs, you have MAMs, you have ERPs. I mean, there's a lot of other systems that are involved here. Yeah. Some of them have their own DAMs, as well. I'm curious to get your guys' take on, those systems having a dam embedded in their core dams. Do these arise in challenges or conflicts at some organizations? How does that all work?
I think that's what we see there is a bit the rest of the dinosaurs. Yeah, I know a lot of companies here in Europe. They have begun developing their own dam systems. They have built that stuff themselves. But I would assume as soon as the people are leaving these companies because they go in rent, yeah, these systems will disappear. I do not believe that there is a place for individual systems. It does not make any sense. And the drive to SaaS system and to cloud systems, this is something which is not stoppable. Yeah, it will evolve, and it's a platform economy. That. Yeah, Dropbox has 500 million users. Yeah, that's something what you can't replicate that anymore.
Yeah. But in the meantime, something we can see a few months ago, every year Chief Martech is just unveiling a new map. And if you are looking at, I like the idea of Scott, because this year the map is just like silos everywhere. Yeah. And to be honest, I do think that the market is too much fragmented today. We have too many things everywhere. It's not because you can display thumbnails in a window that you are a damn system. Even if you have a nice user experience, it's much more than that. In the meantime, one of the something that customer told me during RFP processes, are you sure that this damn vendor will be still there in the next 3 years? And that's a question. We saw so many acquisitions during the last year. So how you can say to your customer, okay, you can invest in a dam, but maybe in 3 years. And we saw that happening during the last year. And just to finish, to be honest, I agree with you, Andy, regarding these homemade things. I tried to do it 10 years ago, and I think never again I will do it again. It's too much effort. Finally, as soon as you are a couple of people leaving the company, everything is done. So today, the supply chain is driven by the API. And the future of the experience today is what I'm calling the ecosystem. And I like one of your infography I saw in a previous webinar by Cloudinary, where finally you have your cloud storage, you have this ecosystem of CMS, PIM, you have also some other DAM systems, because in fact, one of the things you can do better than the other is to process the files, okay? And so why not from other DAM vendors using your capabilities instead of trying to reinvent the wheel? So as a conclusion, I just want to say to the vendors, just be smart. And for the customers, trust first your people, build your own team, challenge your vendors, do a proof of concept, and maybe you get the best ride.
Yeah, you're completely right, Fred.
And while there are a lot of systems involved here, one thing that Fred mentioned in the introduction was related to print, and it was quite interesting. In the slide, he even mentioned that print is will be 26 times bigger than the DAM market in just a few years. Yeah. But I kind of feel like when a lot of companies, SaaS providers, they're talking about experiences, they're talking about the digital experiences, the web experiences, but print is also a really important part here, and it's not going away either.
For sure.
So it will dramatically change.
Yeah. Tell me more. Say more about that, Nate. I'd like to hear Max's thoughts on this too, just around print and how it all fits into this whole world.
I think we experienced that ourselves. With Ibrams, we were always a company that was very keen on focusing on brand, producing high quality communication material, brochures, explanations, documentations. With CIHub, the only thing what we've ever printed was a business card. Yeah. And it is like it is. Yes, we will produce something in print, but that might be a fraction of what it was. Yeah, sure. The print mark, what Fred showed, is not changing because it's including packaging. Packaging will not change because as long as we buy our cereals in a physical box, yeah, there will be print. Yeah, and this is increasing. Yeah, and if we look at the print figures, really, yeah, what is communication related print, what is newspaper print, and what is packaging print, you will see a dramatic change from the communication print and the newspaper print, and all that volume is shifting toward products. So I believe what Fred said, it is extremely important that we do individualization, that we have self-service functionalities, but that will not end in a brochure. It will end in a post, in a Facebook, in a electronic communication that needs the same detail and the same technologies for individualization, but at the end it will not print. And I think this is a dramatic change, and this is already there. Yeah, we're just looking not at the right figures.
Mm-hmm. Max, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I guess I disagree a little bit. I think print is, as Fred showed, it's growing. It's changing dramatically. So it is packaging. There are more print operations going on, this year than last, and next year will be even more. It's not printing on paper. The substrates are changing, and it's not as inefficient as it once was. It's targeted, it's focused, it's personalized. So we do a lot of work automating things like direct mail campaigns. People still mail personalized stuff, but it's very targeted, very focused. People also print on their own printer. Print might go away as mass producing 100,000 copies of the same thing. That doesn't happen very often. But getting something that will print on your own home printer is a valuable thing. People also think in the print paradigm. We created all the cruise booklets for Royal Caribbean cruises for years, and we press a button, they spit out 10,000 30-page documents. No one ever prints those anymore. They only print the bag tags. The document, though, is a print thing. You could print yourself if you wanted to. I don't know who does, but mainly you flip through it through a page reader, or you read it on your iPad, and it's a print-related document. It came out of print. It's formatted with InDesign Server perfectly, and it's an electronic experience at the end of the day. We have people say, is InDesign going to die because print is dead? There's this myth that print is dead. Print is not dead. Print is just one little channel, and it is where all of the graphic communication technology came out of. Yeah. And that's where you get.
This is exactly what I say, Max. Yeah, it uses the same technologies, but at the end, it's displayed on an iPad or not printed in a brochure anymore.
Sure, but there is still print, and it doesn't. The requirement to print or feed the print paradigm is still this sort of dimension that's almost a constant with communications. People have to have something printable in some case somewhere, or they're going to communicate with something that could print if you had to. And when the typography is there, it's coming from something like InDesign. You think InDesign would die. I know a company has 4,000 seats of InDesign for the sole purpose of building infographics, right? Yeah. Just for infographics. They never print. But that typography is valuable. And it's an interesting collision. The way the web technologies and a lot of the imaging technologies have grown is very substandard compared to what InDesign has and what some of the print technologies did. And we're kind of, in some ways, losing some of the craft. Hopefully it's being assimilated. Hopefully the new technologies get things like optical kerning and the intense typographical capabilities that the servers and systems can now support. So we're kind of seeing, finally, we can do what we envisioned with print technology. No, we don't have to print it. You might want to print it. You might use it like a print document. But it's a beautiful time right now because the technology can really fulfill any vision for any kind of content.
Just one more thing, because I can give you a use case. I had some talks with a company which is Gelator, and this is interesting because this new kind of companies, they are able to deliver print services on demand. Okay, so and when I'm looking at the ecosystem of this company, it's just like yours. In fact, I see more and more DAM system around because as soon as from different DAM system, okay, as Max said, and it's true. I remember in 1997 when I was not delivering PDF. I was doing a TIFI tier, and it took sometime 1 hour to do the job, and now just 1 second, and it's variable, it's dynamic, it's just done in a super quick way. But the one thing maybe you can avoid is to download the PDF, find a printer, and I see this opportunity today where based on the API, you can direct streamline this personalization direct based on the template, on the job options, whatever, direct to your printer. You can see the best offer and change from one magazine to the other, the printer. So print is not dead.
Yeah. And Max, I mean, you mentioned, and also you too, Fred, you mentioned personalization with respect to labels. And, this is also where Cloudinary, we see opportunities, and we work with some of our customers who are presenting this online, selling it online, maybe a customized label onto a bottle or onto packaging, or whatnot, presenting it to the end user, showing them what it looks like, in the exact font it will be printed in, and the fidelity, of that, and making sure really it's going to look like that when it's printed is also quite important. And this is where developers are getting into the game as well, and leveraging these types of tools to actually show that, to the end user. It's a really important part of the experience. Yeah. And we could talk a lot more. Sorry, go ahead, Max.
That's our fine art. I mean, our Silicon Designer is a way to edit a document online through a web browser and know with certainty it will print exactly the same. A lot of what we do is text-centric. People underestimate text all the time, especially programmers. They don't know what text is by default. We have the good fortune to have on our staff the people who created InDesign, so we have some really serious text understandings. But getting that text to flow, making sure that, it's going to be German, it's going to be 1.5 times as big. How is that German going to flow into that text frame? And will it wrap the same? Will it fit in the box? The nuance of text is really an exponentially greater challenge than imaging. And making the text render properly at scale with variants, if you are doing a 2 million person mailing, just managing that all those names will come out correctly is daunting. And that's the sort of fine art under the hood, where typography is probably the slowest thing to evolve in imaging.
And we can certainly talk a lot more about that. The text piece is a very interesting component here.
Oh yeah, I advise to our attendees to look at the blog of Silicon. I remember, Max, you in 2016 you made a super post regarding the history of InDesign. So if you want to know much more, I will advise you to look at the post.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is great. So, as we wrap up, because we're limited on time, even though we can talk a lot more about this. I guess what the last question for everybody, just as it relates to the audience, where do you guys see things going in the next 5 years or so, and what should the audience see, the attendees, listening to this, what should they be prepared for as we progress in the future? And whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I can say is I'm very focused on the DAM itself, of course, but it's true that today we are moving at some. I don't like to use some other acronyms, just PIM, PAM, POOM, etc. But a couple of people are talking about DXM, digital experience management. So it's more and more something we can see by the vendors to put all together: personalizations, dynamic, enterprise, mobile, responsive, performance, ecosystem. These kind of things that we are working. But in the meantime, and especially regarding the time we are living now, it will be a challenge because I still do believe that we have the market is too much fragmented, so something will happen. So at one stage, maybe some acquisitions and we have so different types of vendors today. you have some vendors able to spend millions for to get at the top of the SEO of Google. You have some other that's struggling because they are just trying to find a way to get more customers. So that's a terrible challenge. But regarding the customer needs, it's all about what we were talking. So personalizations, return of investments, and at the end of the day, you just need the jobs to do. So from DAM PIM to a website and to get everything done to leverage a brand.
Right. Max or Andy, any words of wisdom or anything you want to add to that for the audience?
Well, I've really enjoyed the growth of extensibility and interoperability the last few years. I mean, things can talk to each other. So don't underestimate using multiple systems, because it's easier than ever with things like RESTful services. People can use one tool for one thing and one for the other. You know, that's how we talk to Cloudinary from InDesign or Photoshop, is with RESTful services. And things are interoperating nicely and with more of a seamless world with multiple systems. So I don't think it's necessarily that fragmented all the time if you know what you're doing. But there is consolidation, and there is the absolute ascent of cloud. I think, like Andreas says, you're not going to have a lot of home-built things running on your local network as you did. So we're seeing cloud really finish to ascend.
Yeah. I think, with all the COVID and all the changes which are just happened the last, let's say, 3 months, there are things possible. There were things, or now are things possible that were not possible 3 months ago. Look at that large company says, my employees doesn't have to come to my office anymore. Imagine that 3 months ago or 6 months ago. Yeah. I believe we will see a huge rise in platforms and in automation. And I'm pretty sure there will be some substantive acquisitions in trying to get that clutter out. As Fred said, we have 8,000 marketing technology solutions. That's unique to every other market. Yeah, there are not 8,000 accounting systems in the world. Yeah, there are 3 dozens maybe that are relevant. Yeah, sure, the list is very granular, and there's a lot of solutions which are not really relevant in a global scale. But I believe we see more platforms, we see more automation, because at the end, we need to be clear. We are talking in communication about a 1 trillion market a year without any relevant automation technology. So the advertising industry makes more money than the automotive industry. Yeah. And the automotive industry is highly automated, and the marketing industry is not. This is a huge market where we will see automation coming. And I believe that will be faster than we all think, also driven by the COVID stuff. Yeah. And we will see a lot of acquisitions. A lot of companies will not survive that situation. And that will dramatically change the market in the next 36 months. Pretty sure about that.
All right. Well, that's a great final thought there, Andy. And I'm sure in the future, somebody maybe 5 or 10 years from now will rewatch this and see how correct we were on some of these. So so with that, I'll just just say thank you for the audience for listening. This was the panel. Thank you, Max and Andy and Fred, for taking the time. I think it was a really great discussion, and appreciate everyone's time.
Thanks, Gary, for making that possible. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Okay, thank you.
And keep safe.
Yes, you too.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Max.
Bye-bye.